Hi, this is Ede Zanetti. I'll be talking with you about this presentation I'm about to make at the UNCDD, the Fight Desertification United Nations Convention. And I'll be talking about South-South cooperation and how we could and we should include CDUs and CDRs products as part of the national determined contributions from the developing world in order to promote industrialization of our country. So this is what this is all about. And of course, we need to understand that this is not a theater where we can sit and enjoy the scenery. This is a battlefield. This is carbon market. It's a battlefield. So we have to be prepared. And that's what we are talking about here when we fight that, when we are saying that you have to fight for your right to climate. Yeah? And South-South cooperation and CDUs and CDR carbon markets. Okay? I will remember here Bob Marley, who by the way says that the evil never sleeps, so we need to move. Huh? When it says, it's you I'm talking to. In this life, the biggest man you ever did see was once a baby. Would you make the system get on the top of your head again? Huh? Will we accept metrics, methodologies, and directives that come from the developed world? Or are we going to join our forces and join our willingness and make this happen at the COP27? That's what this is all about. And the PNBSAA has been developed to help on this fight, on the climate change market arena. Okay, so data from the IPCC 2007, which won the Nobel Prize, and from the NASA, which began to monitor terrestrial carbon cycles via satellite, have already shown that the fertilization of atmospheric CO2 over the last 40 years has led to a 30% increase in plant productivity worldwide, especially on the tropics, with serious consequences for the loss of tree biomass stock in the tropical forest when you don't have human intervention. We have a forest that's being fertilized, and we have secondary vegetation annually, It has an annual cycle, and we have trees with over 50-year cycle. So the annual vegetation, the secondary annual vegetation is getting more competitive every year, and this is suppressing the trees. Over the tropics, over the last 50 years, we lost something around 15 and 25% of tree biomass to secondary vegetation because we are not suppressing this secondary vegetation. The trees cannot compete. On the other hand, the atmospheric fertilization of adapted vegetation turned into high levels of productivity on rural areas, uptaking more CO2 as they grow, produce, and reproduce. As a result, at COP26, anthropogenic land use on private property, agricultural, livestock, forestry, and others, were recognized as the solution to the global climate crisis. The ability of photosynthesis to remove atmospheric CO2 and transform it into carbon-based products, grains, proteins, and fibers, will be complemented by society's increased consumption of these carbon-based products, their carbon content, and their lifespans. Expressly, no carbon credit that does not come from anthropogenic land use can be admitted for the generation of products with certification of atmospheric CO2 removal. Such products are known as CDUs and CDRs, carbon dioxide use and carbon dioxide removal. The first with reduced lifespan, and the second can remain for over a century stored in society, usually more. The process of collecting and storing data and information for the new AC carbon market is underway, and promotes the developing of narratives to organize the work of the dialogue for each thematic area, and will set a positive tone for the accomplishment of the task. So this process is also going in the voluntary market, and it's affecting it. For example, the narrative for mitigation in cashew nut or soybean oil productions may imply that at the TD1, the first, the global stock take is being done on 3 separated parts. The first part ended in February 2022, the TD1. It considers impacts, vulnerabilities, and mitigation efforts in cashew nut or soybean oil production, for example. We are looking at what is happening. At the TD2, that goes up to May 15, May 15, right now. Consider the appropriateness and effectiveness of mitigation action and support, and recognize the mitigation efforts that the affluent sector of developing country parts are doing. For example, what we are doing in the developing world right now to fight against this vulnerability. With the cashew nut production, we know we are trying to recover its productivity. It's the same we are doing here in Brazil with the Cocamar cooperative. And the TD3 that ends in December this year consider progress toward the global mitigation targets and way to promote mitigation actions in the affluent sector. How this that the Cashew Nut Association and Cocamar cooperative are doing will help Brazil achieve and the world reduce global emissions. That's the global stock take, what the global stock take is about. At COP26, the guidelines for the implementation of Paris Agreement were approved. As a result, from this year, 2002 onwards, countries must increase their ambition levels in accordance with the approved rules in order to achieve the long-term objectives of the agreements. We have to increase our ambition on promoting a better planet with less emissions. And the CDUs and CDRs are the answer. The global stock take is a global action, a mechanism to access the global progress towards achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement, designed to build narratives on fighting climate change. These narratives also guide the preparation of inputs to the GST, as I just said. As we speak or rate, most of the developing world is submitting their NDCs, their ambition, for the next period. And the inclusion of CDUs and CDRs from the affluent sector should be part of it. The European Union and New York State in the United States are examples of legislation building around CDUs and CDRs, which are considered avenues for consumers to participate in efforts to fight global climate change. We need to align our national determined contributions, our NDCs, towards promoting low-carbon industrial development to deliver CDUs and CDRs certified products and services to the overpolluted developed world. In doing so, we will foster the SDG 2030 agenda. Everybody has to participate. The PNB SAA was established, the Platform for Business with Environmental and Ecosystem Services was established to promote certification of production and service chains for their environmental and social performance, assuring competitiveness within the green economy. It was the objective back in 2010, and it is the same. It remains alive today. It can register credits and certify products following UNFCCC rules and procedures, providing room for the developing countries to elaborate and register their own MRV methodologies adapted to local conditions. The improved forest management MRV methodology that we just presented, that we are registering right now, is just one example, directed towards promoting the appliance of best available silvicultural techniques in order to regenerate productivity of degraded secondary forest, as well as promoting higher levels of biomass production at all stands, increasing photosynthesis and generating outputs of industrial and energy harvest wood products. It provides traceability, avoids double counting, and independently manages credits accounts. When these procedures are followed, one can produce credits with high credibility, basis for the use of blockchain technology, and generate tokens for cryptocurrencies. The cryptocurrency market opens larger possibilities to support planetary life quality and investment where everyone gains, right? So branding and rating of carbon credits are the final steps to consolidate natural capital as a valuable asset to the market, and all are available around PNBSA system. At the UNFCCC and COP27, the battle for ACs markets will follow, as well as the voluntary carbon markets ones. And the PNBSAE can be a weapon to gain fuel and shares on the forefront of consumers' terrain. We need to align our environmental capital along the PNBSA lines and together advance towards the mined view of bureaucracy and economic barriers to reach for the consumers around the globe interested on low carbon products. When we can join forces within the developing world to promote CDUs and CDRs at our NDCs, the result will be more income and jobs for farming, ranching, and forestry, as well as for a low-carbon industry that should grow to supply a planet of low-carbon consumers. The carbon-based products from the developing world can help fighting against climate change, and this needs to be rightly informed to consumers. PNBSAE can help us spreading the news. I hope the material helps. It will be going to you together with the text and some slides. All right? See you at Abidjan.